Hello, my name is Nick, and welcome to Watch This Now, the channel where I let you know what's going to entertain you right now. Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is the conclusion to the episodic Star Wars saga. And since, I can't really get into many plot developments, of which there are few, it's Star Wars. That's people in space doing missions and the ultimate fight of good versus evil. Now again, I can't really get into any spoilers, but there really isn't a whole lot of plot here. I'm not one to leave anyone in suspense. I did not like this movie. I really didn't like anything about it. The things that I wanted it to do, it did, but in a way that had no emotional or entertaining effect on me. I really think a lot of people are not going to be happy with Kylo Ren. I think a lot of people are not going to be happy with Rey. I think a lot of people are not going to be happy with Reylo. There is a lot in Star Wars Episode 9 that I think just is wrong. It was just not good. This film feels like scenes stitched together and not an actual story being told. And that is what is so unfortunate to me, because Star Wars means so much to so many people. And unfortunately, I think these films have failed individually, but as a trilogy, this is a massive failure. Now, I have to talk about this film in terms of how it fits into a saga, because there are more problems than just how this plays out on its own. Now, I've heard the term fan service thrown around a lot in early reviews, and I am not the biggest Star Wars fan. I am not entrenched in the Star Wars world, so there may have been plenty of fan servicey things that just went right over my head, but I don't even know what Star Wars fans want. The fandom is divided like the North and the South right now. Like, I don't even know what anyone wants out of Star Wars. I don't even know what I wanted out of this movie. My biggest complaint with The Rise of Skywalker is just how low energy it is. This was not entertaining to me at all. I was a Star Wars hater until The Force Awakens came out. I was not even planning on seeing it, but I got sucked into going to a midnight screening with a friend, and I went in planning on hating it, and the movie turned me into a fan. And The Last Jedi, not a fan of it. I personally don't like it. Don't vilify me. Rewatching The Last Jedi, preparing for this viewing, I still don't like the film, but I have to say that it has an entertaining flow to it that comes with a director confidently executing their vision. Here, I can't say the same. I don't think there is much of a vision for The Rise of Skywalker at all. And it doesn't even rise to the level of being a big budget special effects event film. It didn't feel entertaining at all. I couldn't even get into it in that respect. That was another thing watching The Last Jedi. I thought, man, this movie just looks so good because they had so much money to spend on making it. Hello, it's a Star Wars film. But in The Rise of Skywalker, I was so bummed with just how drab it looked, and the shots were so uninspired, and especially in the beginning, the editing was just so quick and fast and go, go, go that we didn't have a moment to let a single scene breathe and feel alive at all. It just felt like we have to erase The Last Jedi as fast as possible and squeeze in the third movie that JJ wanted to make. I really liked the new characters introduced in this new trilogy. However, I thought that The Last Jedi did them dirty. They were introduced in The Force Awakens. Last Jedi had them running around doing all these detoured nonsense, and then the film wraps up with our characters essentially where they were at the end of The Force Awakens. So it didn't really work for me, and now here in The Rise of Skywalker, it's like we're supposed to care about them like we've spent all this time with them. When you look at it as a whole, we really haven't spent time with these characters at all. Like, I really didn't care for how Poe was treated in The Last Jedi. I think that character was a really strong, cool, set-up character from The Force Awakens. And then The Last Jedi, I felt like he was used to tell a particular storyline that Rian Johnson wanted to tell. And then here, in The Rise of Skywalker, I thought we'd maybe wrap it up, but he's still kind of a dick. I mean, these characters aren't even that likable, unfortunately. And that's a bummer, because I wanted to at least spend time with them, but even that was boring. The jokes were weak, the dialogue felt like first draft dialogue. I was really unimpressed. This whole trilogy is just all over the place. Like, The Force Awakens, the theme of that seemed to be, remember the past? And then The Last Jedi's theme was, kill the past. And now here in The Rise of Skywalker, it's like, the past never dies. It is so inconsistent, it is just an absolute shame. Listen, we ruined Star Wars. We ruined it. Fans have as much blame to shoulder as all of the people involved in the filmmaking here. Now listen, being real, Lucasfilm fucked up. You can't even just blame Kathleen Kennedy, because there should have been plenty of people that stepped in and were like, this is a horrible idea. Even from a business standpoint, they wanted to take 3 different directors to do 3 different takes on films that were supposed to fit in a trilogy. That's just stupid, okay? George Lucas even gave them a 3-film outline to work with. They tossed it. J.J. Abrams did his movie. Rian Johnson did his and just trashed all that. And so then Abrams came back and trashed all of Johnson's work. And the whole thing as a trilogy, there's no through line. There's no solid overall story being told here. After seeing what we got with The Rise of Skywalker, I kind of wish they stuck with the original plan and found a filmmaker that could take where The Last Jedi ended and go with that, because what we have here, it's trying to erase aspects of the last film, and that's bullshit. Like, I don't like The Last Jedi, but you know what? They approved that screenplay, they spent over $200 million making it, and then they released it to the public. And you know what? A lot of people do like The Last Jedi, which is fine. And for them to do what they did moving forward, trying to erase that and just jam in this, I honestly, like, this isn't a spoiler, I think you know, the Emperor is back. It's so dumb. It is so dumb, and I really don't think that it works at all. And as problematic as all of that is, I think that we also have to take responsibility as fans. I mean, I'm not someone that went on every message board I could to trash The Last Jedi as much as possible. I didn't like it. I said, whatever, that's fine. You know what? Star Wars really was never for me. But if you want to bitch and moan, then you know what? You have to look at the fans as much as Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm, because they listened to us. They listened to the backlash to The Last Jedi. They paid attention to everyone who boycotted Solo. And you know what? They tried to make this movie, The Rise of Skywalker, to please everyone. Again, I'm not so into Star Wars that I know what people want or what should be done, but this just didn't feel like a story to me. It just felt like, here's a scene, and here's another scene, and now we're at this scene. And none of it had a connective flow to it that entertained me. For years, fans have been begging for studios to listen to them, to say, hey, listen, you guys are just making all of these business decisions, you need to be making creative decisions. They completely shaped this film around trying to please fans, and you know what? They didn't tell a story. They completely ruined it by trying to fix it. And so, if we are going to take social media to try and send a message to filmmakers and the studio heads and everyone involved, well, then we also have to take responsibility for the effect that that's going to have. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with that, and maybe a lot of people do like The Rise of Skywalker, but to be perfectly honest, going into the film was high energy, and being the movie nerd I am, seeing as many as I do, I can kind of gauge the feel of a theater. And honestly, there was a bigger reaction to the Free Guy trailer that played before the film than anything throughout the 2.5 hours of The Rise of Skywalker. There was no cheering, no applauding, no nothing. I thought that this was going to at least be a super fun theater-going experience. Honestly, it wasn't. And another thing that I find funny is I think the Marvel films have tricked audiences into believing that every film has a mid-credits or post-credits scene, because I was watching, I don't remember what I was watching, but it was something that was just really basic, and people were just sitting through the credits like waiting for a mid-credit scene or something, and I'm like, you guys, this is not a Marvel movie. You're not gonna get that here. And I expected people to do the same watching Rise of Skywalker, to just sit there and be like, well, they're probably gonna show us something else, right? I don't know if they did. I didn't care to stick around, and no one in my theater did. As soon as those credits started to play, people grabbed their coats, grabbed their popcorn, and got the hell out of there. I have not seen people evacuate a theater faster in a long time. And again, I do think as audience members, we are responsible for how we spend our dollars, for what we support, for what we don't support. And I have seen some reviewers straight up be like, boycott it. If you hate it, just don't go. If you're not into the series, just leave it alone. And I always say, see it for yourself, form your own opinions. I'm not the first and last opinion. I'm just someone with a camera that likes to talk about movies, and I hope you do too, so that we can talk about them together. But I have to say, I wouldn't be entirely pissed off if people boycotted this movie. I wouldn't be mad if people decided to wait. Again, make your own decisions. I'm not trying to say you should or you shouldn't. I don't think this film is so egregious it needs to be punished. But if you've been burned by Star Wars recently, well, honestly, you might just want to wait on this one. I'm going to give The Rise of Skywalker a 2 out of 5. It has a lot of the great special effects. Clearly a lot of people did a lot to try and make this movie what it is, but it amounts to nothing to me. It really, honestly, could be a 1 out of 5 if the production value wasn't so damn good, because this just did nothing for me. I have no interest in ever watching this movie again. Sorry, a lot to talk about there without talking about the actual movie a lot, but there was a lot around the movie that I think did play into the overall experience of the film, and normally I would say, just focus on the film itself, but this is not even really a movie. It's barely even a product. This movie feels like an apology letter without the actual apology. What did you guys think of The Rise of Skywalker? Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. Subscribe to watch this now. Be on the lookout for all my future reviews. I'm trying to upload as many as I possibly can. So let me know in the comments below what you're watching and what you want to see covered on this channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much again, and I'll see you in my next video.